How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Jody Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and I'm joined by my two good pals from YouTube, Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse. How are you, sir?
Ayo.
Ayo.
Is that okay? I mean, I just seen all Irishmen do this on YouTube. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's copyrighted, but
Okay.
should be all right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Nice to see you, my friend. Nice to see you. We've read some interesting books this week, so I'm looking forward to getting your take on things.
Interesting to say the least. Yes.
Yeah, that looked like a
doesn't mean good, though. Doesn't mean good.
No. And we have got Charlie himself from Geeky Guy Comics. How are you, sir?
You do this every week. You do this every week. You fucker, you. I'm good. I'm all right, mate. I'm all good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And we've read some interesting stories this week. So
we have.
Yeah. I'm starting to. I don't know what you guys are like, but I'm kind of starting to. I feel like I'm in a night terror myself, and I'm just praying for the end of some of these DC books. But yeah, it's interesting. Okay, before we crack on, I just want to kind of quickly rattle through some of the stuff that's been happening on the channel and some other bits and bobs to mention. So last week we had a busy week. I did a This Is My with Doug Brayton and also with John Lees. They were both really interesting. We need to get you chaps on a This Is My as well, so we'll need to get those booked in.
I need to give you a date for that, Pete. I do apologise.
No problem at all. Good fun to get you on. I then went over to reviews with Rich and did Mission Impossible review. Either of you guys seen Mission Impossible yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's very good.
I heard it's very good. Yeah.
It's part one, isn't it? It's part one.
Yeah, it's a two-parter. So it kind of has it's a satisfying end to the film, if you know what I mean. Okay. But it does leave you wanting more. You're not kind of left hanging, I guess. Worth watching. I also did an unboxing review of this 1/6 scale Omni-Man. Either of you guys into Invincible? I know Phil, you guys
I cannot wait for season 2.
So did you realise, because I hadn't realised, but yesterday they released a one-off episode.
Yeah, I seen that last night. Adam Eve, wasn't it? Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, though.
Very, very good. It's very good.
Where is that on? Is that on Amazon?
Amazon, yeah. So it came out last night. Totally out of the blue. It wasn't expected or anything that I was aware of. So over the moon to see that.
Did you see as well the Omni-Man's going to be in the DLC for the new Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Looks cool too. Like.
Yeah, Omni-Man and Homelander. I think that's going to be phenomenal. Can't wait to see that. We also did these shows last week. So we did the 1/6 scale news. So if you like toys, please do check that out. Saturday Night Live yesterday was a good laugh. And tonight we're doing this. Tomorrow night, I've got my Let's Talk Toys show with all the news from San Diego Comic-Con. Wanted to mention this. Excuse me. This is something myself and Andy are kind of spitballing at the moment. Masters of the Triviaverse, where we'll do a live series-specific quiz. So this is kind of born from the idea that we've got a couple of Star Wars big-name fans in the community, and there's quite a bit of debate about which of them is the mega geek. So we're going to have a Star Wars-based theme and put people through the paces. Anyone's interested in joining that and taking part, please do let us know. If it's successful, we'll do other ones going forward about, like I say, specific topics. So yeah, looking forward to doing that. We've got this coming up at some point in the future. I haven't got a date for this yet, but this is basically an Ask Us Anyway, an unscripted show where we'll go live and just see what the hell happens. So that should be interesting. Review of Crimson Cage over on GP Venom's channel on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. That should be fun. Great book, so looking forward to getting stuck into that. And then, as ever, we've got the YouTube community, and we've got two of the kings of YouTube on tonight. So, Phil, Nerdiverse, what have we got coming up on the Nerd Herd this week?
Do you know, I really forget. Batwoman Elegate or Elegate. I'm not really sure how it's pronounced. It's a Batwoman story. That's all I know.
So, is that Shane's pick? Is that the It's the Kate. Wow, what's it called?
Kane. Kate Kane?
Yeah, Cathy Kane or something, isn't it?
Kane, yeah. It was a story that ran through one of the Detective Comics, the 860, the 865 or something, whatever. So yeah, I've never read any Batwoman, like standalone stories, so it'll be interesting.
Okay. Looking forward to that. That should be interesting. And Charlie, what have we got happening over on the Killer Comic Show?
So we've got this week the Creative Spotlight is Scotty Young, which Andy's going to be doing that. And then I think the 3 comics that are up in the community at the moment, I think it's either going to be Ribbon Queen that's kind of pulling away at the moment, so that'd be interesting. But I mean, we also do a Killer Covers part of the show, which I should probably start taking part in. Because I've been like letting the other two pull away at a bit, but I should probably pull my finger out and start picking a decent cover.
Yeah.
I've always wondered with that, who gets first pick?
It's first come, first serve.
Oh, so like basically like Andy's there weeks in advance picking.
Yeah, because we use Buffer to do all our we've like used Buffer to time in all our socials and stuff like that. So the Killer Covers one goes out on a Monday. So you'll get Andy and Tom or myself just going, right, I'll have this one for this week and then the week after and then the week after. So you get bombarded. So it's literally first come, first serve. So that's a competition in itself, which is quite funny. But it's just a good laugh. But as I said, yeah, I should probably start taking part.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't mean to be unkind, Charlie, but you've not really had much success in that area, have you?
Sorry, mate, I've got to go. No, I haven't. And last year it was phenomenal. But I think Andy's he's got a new job and he's got these multi-billion-dollar bots working for him. So
Yeah.
It's all fun and games, though, isn't it?
Well, yes. Okay, just before we crack on with the comics, let's just have a quick look in the chat and see who we've got. We've got good old StreamYard as usual. Thank you for joining. We've got good old Deadman. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for joining. We've got John. Thank you again, mate. Deadman is saying, not too many spoilers tonight, please. My parcel didn't arrive till Saturday. Ooh, we'll try our best, bud. We've got Jack and we've got JP. Thank you very much, guys. Jack is asking Charlie, where's your pint, Charlie?
Always
there
here.
There we are. I'm on a cup of tea tonight. That's not good, is it?
I did mention that. I thought I was on the wrong show. So I do apologise to everyone in the chat that was expecting Peter to have, like, I don't know, some blueberry bucks fizz or champagne cider.
Absinthe. Does that count? That's absinthe. That's
By
the end of the show, you'll be like that. The baby, where's the baby?
Oh God, don't that film. And we've got the Killer Comic Show. Always nice to see you guys. We've got 18 people watching. Please do hit that like and subscribe button. Please do check out my colleagues' channels, the Nerdyverse, and also the Killer Comic Show and Charlie and all of their various channels. So please do check those.
I'm not paying you for this promo. You know that. I'm not paying you.
I am. Hang on,
yeah, Phil is, yeah.
We can't even say it right. You call it the Nerdyverse.
The Nerdy. What is it? Phil's nerdy. It is nerdy.
The Nerdyverse.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Right. Let's start with this shit. Shall we? Anybody that's been watching the channel for a while knows that we've been talking a lot about DC's summer event, which is the Night Terrors line, which is where basically some bloke is trying to find the Nightmare Stone it's hidden in some hero or villain's dreams. So he's put everybody to sleep and they're all having these nightmares. First one I read this week was Punchline, which I'm going to be honest, wasn't that bad. What did you guys think of this one?
Have you been following the actual read order?
No, nah.
So if you, I credit where credit's due, if you follow the read order, it's a little bit more understandable. Only slightly, but it is a little bit more understandable. But I read this and I liked it. I've got to say, out of the 6, I think it was 5 or 6 that were out this week, Wonder Woman, I think it was, Wonder Woman, Superman, Punchline, Nightwing, and Catwoman. Out of the 5 that come out, I liked 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, this one was one of them.
I don't know anything about the Punchline character. It's not a character that I've really read much of. But I was quite intrigued with this. Phil, what about yourself?
I liked it at the start whenever she believed she was actually awake. She was the only one still awake. I quite like the idea that there are people who are in the slumber, but there are ones that aren't. But then, obviously, it became very apparent she is in her state and having these dreams or nightmares. It wasn't the worst, but I don't think I care that much about Punchline myself. It's not something I really care about the story overall. And I get the idea that these are meant to like showcase like their fears. I still like, what is her fear? Is she afraid of Batgirl? Does she have a history with Batgirl? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't really know her character.
Actually, do you know what? That's a really good point, Phil, because I read through this, I enjoyed the kind of the dead zombie take on Batgirl. but I'm not sure what the nightmare was. What was the? Is it Batgirl? Is she Charlie? Do you know this character? Does she frightened of Batgirl? Or?
I mean, she's only been. I mean, I haven't read her single issues, but I mean, I've only seen her in the actual continuing Batman comics where she came in as Joker's new bit of fluff. But I don't really think she's had like the only run-ins that she's had has either been with Harley Quinn where she had the fight and she cut Harley Quinn's throat. But unless I've missed something, I don't think she is one of the main characters that Punchline's got a problem with.
Yeah, interesting.
I think to be fair, it does feel like they could have just made a Night Terrors book and just excluded Punchline. I don't think it's that important yet for her to have this kind of backstory that for us as a reader to know what she's actually frightened of.
Yeah.
What I did take from it though, she's maybe frightened of maybe become like irrelevant or something. Like, this is not that important, but she's not really.
Do you know what? I thought that was quite a good play because a lot of people have said that Punchline, she is an irrelevant character. She was just literally a one shot. She popped up and she was quoted to be like the new Harley Quinn. She was going to partner with the Joker and stuff. But it's good what you said there, Phil, because she even says in there that she doesn't want to become irrelevant.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the main cover is one of the people like putting a picture of her in a dustbin, which it looks like a social media dustbin. So.
Right. I wonder if that's been the whole theme of it. Then you're right. Yeah. Because you're right, her first appearances at one point were going for good money, and then she's just dollar bin now. I think.
How many copies do you have, Pete? You must have quite a few.
Do you know what? I gave away a full set. I think it was my 750 subscriber giveaway or something because there's 3 or 4 books that she kind of appeared in.
Yeah.
Not for me.
But I think the whole thing is that she doesn't want to become irrelevant because if you think about it, Batgirl kind of sits in the background, doesn't she? Kind of doing stuff, and she even mentions in this, people think that the clock tower's gone, but it's there in plain sight if you know where to look. So I think she's kind of her nightmare is becoming irrelevant, like kind of Batgirl is.
So does everybody know where the clock tower and everything is now? Is that kind of like a?
I mean, in the Batman stories, it's still like I don't think no one knows who Barbara Gordon is. She's still like the Oracle and stuff. So I don't know. It just doesn't. I think the thing with these Night Terrors things, there's no tie-in to anything really. Other than the stories itself.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I would say, mind, and I've picked that central page there. I think the art in this was pretty good. I quite like some of the imagery, because some of the books that we're going to get to are trash. But this I thought was pretty good. Okay, a few others here, and this is going to be interesting because me and Phil were talking before we came on about how we thought Catwoman was crap. But Charlie, you liked Catwoman, didn't you?
I did like Catwoman. I did. I thought it was the only thing that was confusing about it was that we started hearing about her sister Zero or something.
Yeah.
I didn't really kind of get that because I'd never known Catwoman to have a sister. And then it kind of got towards the end of the story and it kind of flipped where Batman appears. He doesn't know that he's Batman. He hasn't told anyone that he's Batman. And it's like they've gone back in the future.
I thought it was bullshit. I didn't understand what was going on. So I've not been reading the Catwoman run. So all of these books, if I'm picking them up, I've not read a lot of them. So I'm maybe doing them a disservice because I'm kind of disconnected from the character. But I do think if you're hanging a big multi-crossover event on this, your hope should be that people will pick these up for a first time and get hooked on them and think, oh, this is really good. This didn't do it for me. I didn't know what was going on. Never heard of her sister before. And then the bit with Batman at the end just totally threw us. Didn't know what was going on. How about you, Phil?
I would be very surprised if someone read this and thought to themselves, oh, I really want to read more Catwoman. Like, I don't read Catwoman myself. I haven't read that much stuff off hers. But if this is the level to expect, I'm never going to want to read it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's done like the character a bit of discredit. But then I think as well, the thing that really threw me off, it was really horrible artwork. I didn't like art at all.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of really care about the story. And the Sister Zero thing, again, I didn't know she had a sister. So I was Googling it. Does Catwoman have a sister? That's like ruined everything I've ever known about Catwoman. She had a sister.
Who was a nun or something?
Yeah.
And
I couldn't work out whose nightmare. What was her nightmare? What her nightmare was not knowing that Batman was Batman and she had to train him up. I didn't understand what the nightmare was.
In the regular comics, is she disfigured and lost an eye? Because in this,
no.
No.
Is that
That's
how
why
her sister see her? I'm not sure.
what I was taking from anyway was that her nightmare is that she's to blame for a lot of what's happened, even though she always had good intentions. That if it wasn't for her good intentions, all the kind of crime, she wouldn't be responsible for it. That's what I was kind of taking from it.
Yeah.
And you're right, the disfigurement and stuff in the face, I was like, that really threw me off too, because like Catwoman in all the comics, she's a beautiful woman, like without scars, whatever else.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like about the art too, it seemed like every scene, both girls were crying all the time and had big horrible kind of. Did you notice that, like big horrible?
I thought that was part of Sister, whatever her name was, his outfit.
I didn't
Was
understand.
that not face paint coming down, making her look like she was
If
weeping?
it was really stupid.
It's milk.
Yeah. So, GP, this is exactly what I thought. Was the sister not the girl she looked out for before she became Catwoman? That's what I thought. I thought it was the young girl from like the Dark Knight Returns kind of thing. Do you know when she's from year one? From year one. Do you know when you see the young girl on the street?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too, but she's not actually her sister. That's the girl who she calls her.
Was she not calling her sister as in
possibly? But in this book,
of...
she referred to the bloodline. This is her blood sister.
Say. It's the only blood family member I have left.
Yeah. Maybe that's the nightmare, that she doesn't have anybody in her own real life, and maybe.
I mean, I think the point is that three of us haven't got a fucking clue what happened in this book. Do you know what I mean? That's a head scratcher for me. Charlie, just as you're drinking, talk to her about Wonder Woman. I like the art in this one, mind. I think that's a nice image.
Yeah, see, but look at her eyes. Look, it's just. And where's Bobo's hand? Where's his other hand?
It's on her shoulder.
That's why she's making that face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This Wonder Woman, I don't know. I enjoyed this one. The fact is, like there was John Constantine in it. There was like the Dark Justice League was in it. Bobo was in it. Zatanna was in it. You had like it was going through like her bloodline of all the people and all the things that they've done wrong in the Amazonians and stuff. That was quite good. Like that was quite intricate and how they done it and everything. And then her worst fear came out and stuff. I thought that was all right. And then obviously you got Nubia at the end of it. That was like a separate little story because obviously that's one. Is it Wonder Girl? She's Wonder Girl, isn't she? Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I think it's just the artwork for me. Like on the front cover of this, I didn't really enjoy it, but the artwork in the story wasn't too bad. I like the whole fact that this one seems to have more characters involved in it. Like John Constantine's come back, as I said, Zatanna, because this ties in from Zatanna #1, where she casts a spell on Bobo and Wonder Woman collapse. Yes, so they've kind of woken up after this. I found it quite interesting. I did like the funny bits where Bobo just runs off. Because they're all holding the lasso of truth, and she's like, no one can let go. Like if anyone lets go, that's it, you're gone. But then like the Nightmare Insomnia flicked up some barbed wire, so they instantly let go and then they ran off. I thought that was quite funny, but
no, I thought this was one of the better ones, if I'm honest. Phil, how about you?
The same, but I like it because like they're aware of where they are. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're in the nightmare, not understanding what this is. Think it's real life. They're actually aware of the nightmare, and they're trying to like combat it. But I love John Constantine in most things, and his use of the magic, and I can't remember what you call the big sword with the flames, whatever else. It's just class. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I like John Constantine a lot. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have liked this as much. It was very short, by the way. It was like 17 pages out of the 30 pages. So it was one of the shortest ones.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the second story really. But I don't know those characters. I've never read anything off them at all. So it was interesting, but it was a Wonder Woman was the better story. But again, I'm a fan of the Justice League Dark. Swamp Thing even made an appearance too, and he was cool. He didn't do anything apart from tie up John Constantine really. So.
But yeah, it was a fun jaunt, this one, wasn't it? Nightwing. I quite liked Nightwing, I have to say. So this was basically Dick Grayson waking up or being put into Arkham, trying to work out what he's doing wrong because people keep telling him that he's done something horrendous. He keeps getting electric shock therapy, which is interesting. And then, we'll not spoil the end, but at the end you find out who he's killed. Mm-hmm. And I guess it does kind of tie to a potential nightmare of Dick's, I suppose. Charlie, what did you think of this one?
I think, and I know speaking to Andy, he really enjoyed this one as well. He said this is the best Night Terrors one that he's read. I really enjoyed this. I think Nightwing is such an underrated character. Like he's wicked. Right, and what Bruno Redondo has been doing over the years with Nightwing, he's absolutely smashed it. But Nightwing as a character he's changing throughout the comics, because obviously he went off to Bloodhaven. He didn't really want anything to do with Batman and Robin and stuff like that. But where this one, you kind of see his relationship with, obviously, Barbara Gordon's been like that for years and years. And it was really enjoyable because there's characters there, like the kind of, I don't want to give it away because obviously Dead Man hasn't come, but he's in Arkham Asylum and he's seeing things and you're being introduced to things that were really good. It kind of really tied in Arkham Asylum. I really enjoyed it. And then like the big twist that there's two twists, because obviously we find out like the room where he is, and then we find out like the ending as well, like that. But I thought this was a fun one. I'm interested to see what issue number 2 brings.
Yeah, this is so I guess in terms of excitement for these books, this is a one that I'm excited to see what happens next. Whereas most of the Catwoman, I really don't think I'm going to read the second part of that. I don't think I can bear it. But this one, I think I will. Phil, what about you?
It was an enjoyable issue. I think personally for me, like I've always kind of hated dream sequences in like a story. If you give us like a normal story and have 2 or 3, 4 pages of a dream sequence or nightmare sequence, what happens all the time. We think of like Batman, the Court of Owls.
Yeah,
There was a whole issue of him like under the maze, or whatever, and it was all like a big kind of nightmare for him. They're cool and all, but I don't like it for like the whole story. I find it gets too weird at times. I like the idea that like the people are like anthropomorphic animals and whatever else. And like it's cool and it's weird, but enjoyable at the same time. But I'm still a little cautious with Nightwing, with this issue of Nightwing, because it is quite actually far removed, I think, from the normal Nightwing series. Which is my problem with this Night Terrors thing overall. They should have the normal writers who are writing the series, writing the characters,
absolutely.
Night Terror way, and they haven't. And I think you missed something with that. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I did like though is that Punchline. So obviously insomnia is where you think you're asleep but you're not, and you're in a sleep like state. For me, Punchline was the only one that kind of signified that, because at the start of the comic she's like, we're the only ones that haven't been affected by it.
Yeah.
Whereas like all the rest of the villains and like Superman, Batman, they're all like, we know we're going through this, so we've got to deal with it. Where Punchline was like, we're immune because I've given them the venom and stuff like that. And it hasn't worked. And I thought that was quite good, because she literally, honestly didn't believe what was going on. Was she dreaming? Was she in a nightmare state? And I think out of all the stories that have come out so far, that was the strongest one to kind of get the overarching theme of what these Night Terrors and what Insomnia is about.
Yeah, because with the Nightwing, he spent a lot of time going, this can't be real, this isn't real, this can't be real. And like you don't need to do it that many times. Like saying Punchline believed she wasn't in the slumber, whereas Nightwing's like, this can't be real, this can't be real. It's like he's not aware of it. And surely he would be one of the first ones to be told. But
no idea. Yeah. But yeah, another interesting one. We're nearly through with the Night Terror books, I think. Night Terror Superman. Now I think Chris, I think Phil, you said you didn't like the art in this. I didn't mind the art in this. And I've put that central panel. I love the way.
I'm so glad you picked that one. That was wicked. Like that was, I found it so good. Yeah.
The first few pages, I was really put off by the art, but you're right. This was cool. It got better. Even like all the Supergirls there at the end, it got cool too. Like it wasn't what you would expect though for Superman, in a way.
Yeah.
Like look at his face in that bottom panel. It just doesn't look like a Superman book that you're used to. But I actually think this is the best one of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I quite enjoyed it, and I hadn't really thought of the way they twisted it in this. So they kind of put that Superman's nightmare as the fact that death just follows him around all the time. The death of Krypton, he's bringing that to Earth now, and all that kind of, and they're having more or less as the Grim Reaper kind of thing. And I thought that was quite interesting. I quite like that.
Yeah, like he was the bullet to Earth, like so bullet. Earth was always kind of doomed as soon as he set off for Earth. It was always going to happen, type of thing.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah. I did like the fact that Kara, she was obviously in her nightmare. She smashed through hers, where she kind of says, "I weren't going to make it out. I couldn't do anything because I just kept hitting, and now I've ended up in your nightmare." I thought that was quite cool, because I was like, "Is she real? Is she?" I couldn't get it, and I thought, I didn't. Yeah, I thought it was quite good.
But I like the way, again, different from some of the other ones, that like Superman's aware that he's in this nightmare, and he's actually having like a conversation with Insomnia. He's trying to like battle him through that way. And obviously, yes, the nightmare takes hold overall, but like he's aware of it. He's trying to get it find his way out, or whatever. That's what I like about dream sequences, similar like that Batman whatever else I talked about. Like you're aware of it and you fight through it. Whereas like the Nightwing one, it's just like this can't be real. This isn't real. No way, this is real. Like, Superman knows like, what he needs to do, and I'm the same with Charlie. I didn't know if the whole Kara coming through was real or part of the nightmare or the dream or whatever. But I hope it is real. Like that's just really cool. They're, you know what I mean? Like they're together, like they play it together type of thing. So hopefully.
I loved that scene with all the different versions of dead Supergirls. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. This was probably one of my favorite of the Night Terrors books, I think.
Do you know the thing though, right? The funny thing is though, is that obviously we've said how bad these Night Terrors and everything are. We've done 3 shows on them.
Yeah.
So do you know what? Like, so obviously, like an underlying theme of like comic book writers is that they're like bad press is good press. Do you know what I mean? Because we're not probably the only show out here reviewing these comics and stuff. So there's things out there talking, whether it's bad or good. They're getting publicity from everything. So people are talking about it. It's like when we do like rubbish comics on the Killer Comic Show, we spend about 20 minutes talking about them because there's so much to talk about. And by the time you finish talking about them, you're kind of like, I'm going to need to read it again because someone like Andy will just come up with like a brain mesmerizing thing. And you're like, oh my God, how have I missed that? So I need to go back and read it. Not dropping no names in the comic it was, but it was fish flies. But anyway, it was it's stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So whether it's a good comic or a bad comic, you still talk about it. Which,
to be fair, I think in the first show we done with Night Terrors, we criticised it pretty badly. And I think I remember saying that my local store didn't have any pre-orders really for this. Since the first week of Night Terrors, he had maybe 3 or 4 on pre-orders. Now it's like 28. So it has jumped up. And it's maybe not because the comics are that good. I think it is because like people like us are doing shows talking about it. And
so you think we're actually increasing the sales of this book, Phil? Is that
we need our commission basically. So DC, Josh, hit us up.
Hi Phil, thanks for joining. Okay, I think, thank God, that's all of the Night Terrors books over and done with. Just want to touch on this one briefly. I don't know if any of you guys have you guys been reading the Black Panther series at the moment?
I read the first one. I haven't read this one.
I wouldn't bother, Charlie. So this continues in the same theme as the first one. This is by Al Ewing, so I was expecting to really enjoy this because I enjoy Al Ewing's writing, and obviously I've met him; he's a personal friend. So I was expecting to love this, but it's just not doing it for me at all. It's really trying very hard to turn Black Panther into an even more clear version of Batman. They've now even kind of incorporated this lady that he's interacting with, and she's very Catwoman-esque. So it's just an interesting series. It's not a one I would recommend picking up if you're not a massive fan of Black Panther. Which
I think Black Panther works well in the Avengers team books. I've tried to read him in his own series, and I've never got into it. But I think in the team he works well.
I mean, they're trying something slightly different in this. So he's in. Did you read the first issue, Phil? I'm not sure if you read the first one. No. So they've basically removed him and put him into kind of this horrendous version of Wakanda, this Gotham in Wakanda, basically. And he's now got an image inducer, and he's working as a kitchen hand, washing dishes and things part-time during the day, and then at night he stalks the city as Batman, basically. But it's just not, it's very, it's shit. Tales of the Titans Starfire. Any of you guys read this one?
Yeah.
I started it and I gave up after 2 pages. I'm not even joking.
Really?
Because the art was horrendous. The art's horrible. It's horrendous, I thought, the artwork. And I couldn't see past it, so I just gave up. I didn't even try to read it after that.
I can. I mean,
good. I'll go back and read it.
I've read it and I quite enjoyed it. What did you think, Charlie?
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm reading the New Titans, so I'm a massive Teen Titans fan and everything, so I'm enjoying that. But Tales of the Titans, it's good. Starfire, I enjoyed it. I do kind of see why you kind of give up after 2 or 3 pages. The artwork is pretty naff, but I like Coriander. I think as a character, she's quite good. Like Starfire is quite good as a character, and in Titans, the TV show. She's got a good thing with like Nightwing and stuff like that, and it is good. But I like Teen Titans, so I enjoyed this.
So I've been reading Titans for years, a long time. So I love Starfire as a character. Hated what they did with how they brought her into the New 52. She became a real, just an unpleasant version of the character. This was more back to form for me. I enjoyed it. It was quite a touching story, I guess you'd say, by the end. I agree the art wasn't stellar, but actually it was a pretty easy read if you like old school comics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Well, I've read that like a Tales of the Titans. I think it was the 80s or 90s. I had a 4-issue miniseries. Then I have it, and I enjoyed it. So I was looking forward to this. But I think maybe I'd read too many Night Terrors. I was in a bad form, and I started this book. I thought, nope, I'm not giving it a chance.
Yeah.
But maybe I should go back and give it the credit it deserves.
Yeah, give it a go. I Hate Fairyland. I've not read this because I'm holding off. I want to read it in one bulk, like I did with the other the first series. But Charlie, you're a Fairyland fan, aren't you?
I am a massive Gertrude fan. I'm a massive Scotty Young fan. I'm a massive I Hate Fairyland fan. This for me, there's never going to be enough Gertrudes. Never. Like, she's the original, and then you're met with like 7 or 8 of them as soon as you open up the first like 2 pages of this comic. And basically, this time around, King Claudius, obviously his sister, Queen Claudia, she tried to kill Gertrude, tried to get her out of Fairyland, tried every way possible to kill her, didn't work. This time around, King Claudius is trying the same as his sister did, and it ain't working. It's just, this is hilarious. This is fun-filled, frenzied, killing Gertrudius comedy at its finest.
Have you just made that word up? Good.
That is an absolute tongue twister after 2 cans of Stella. Like that, yeah, I love that. But it's wicked. I love Fairyland. I love Fairyland.
So I don't know whether I mean I'm holding off on reading this until the nice hardback come out, but that could be a year or 2. I might have to just bite the bullet and catch up with this and find out where we're at with it, because I love the first seasons. Phil, are you a fan of Fairyland?
Yes and no. Like I'm not reading this series, but I really like the first one. I thought the first one was really good. The second one just didn't hit the same notes as the first, which I understand. It's hard to kind of continue that on and maybe have to change things along, but I never followed through, read the rest. So I don't know what she's at, if she's still in wherever land she was in before. I forget what it's called now. But there's only so many mother fluffers I can really pay attention to.
Yeah. It's the one I'm going to pick up. I think I'm going to go back and read because I do love the character. Okay, Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Redder. I'm just going to start off and say I absolutely friggin' love this book. This for me was phenomenal. I feel like I'm turning the corner a bit with Harley Quinn. I've never really read a lot of Harley Quinn, but then the last couple of months we've read a fair bit, and I'm loving it. This book for me, it's three or four, I think, three separate tales. Yeah. Each tale slightly different in the Black, White, and Redder format, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was funny. I love the fact, this first story where Superman's traditional keyhole has been changed by a digilock. I thought that was superb. I loved the Redder gun because that was just a funny joke. The Bat Butler was great, and then the other 2 stories. There was one with Catwoman, and the Joker's henchman was great as well. Yeah, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Phil, have you read this one?
No, but not through not wanting to. I could be wrong, but the Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red series, which came before this, I think there's a follow-up story from the Harleen book. Somebody told me that, so I keep meaning to go back and read that. So I kind of don't want to read this before I read that type of thing. I want to go back and read off from the start. But I'm similar to you, Pete. I'm not a big Harley Quinn fan. I know Charlie is, but I've never really. It's just there's a few things I like her in, but I've struggled to actually connect with her or something as a character. But I think the more, she's getting more popular now, and I think I'm starting to be swayed slightly more too. Yeah. But I think once I read Black, White, and Red and Black, White, and Redder, maybe I'll be with you too. Yeah, I'll be a fan.
Charlie, what do you think of this one?
I loved it. I loved it. I just love the whole little niches, the little jokes of where she's dragged Poison Ivy along because she needed to fight with massive plants, even though there's no plants in the North Pole or wherever the Antarctic where they are. And the fact is that they get into the Fortress of Solitude, and it was wicked. I just thought it was great. But yeah, the Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red. It was written by Sean Murphy's wife, like Katana Collins. She did like I think there was 4 stories in there, and I think she did like 2 of them. So it does follow on from the Harleen series, which was done by Stefan Sicic, which is wicked. But then also on top of this, you got the new Harley Quinn TV show coming out, season 4.
Yeah.
Which is coming out as well. You can never have enough Harley Quinn. Like, this was awesome. When she was a gymnast, you kind of just see.
Oh yeah.
That was a bit.
I mean, GP's mentioned that one. That story was dark. It was really dark, but dark in the way that if you were to take that outside of a Harley Quinn comic, I believe stuff like that goes on. Do you know what I mean? The cruel coach and all the rest of it. Great read, and I love. I mean, I've said to you guys before, I love an anthology type book where it's not a massive interconnecting arc. So this was just 3 nice little stories that I enjoyed every single one of them. So yeah,
Marvel released their version of Black, White, and Red. They released some of those gallery size edition books. So I've always keen in to buy them. Did DC do the same? Do you know, or do they just release it as normal kind of?
I've not
as
seen
far
it.
as I know, it's just normal. Because obviously DC did the Deadpool, they did the Wolverine.
They've just done Vader, haven't they? And it was dreadful. The first issue was awful.
Carnage and stuff as well.
Yeah, great one. So I mean, out of all the books I've read this week, that's probably one of the ones I would recommend most strongly because it was a really good read. Oh, I love this. I don't know if you guys are into this kind of stuff. This is All 8 Eyes. This is it's 4 parts, I think, 4 or 5 parts. This is the final issue. It's been a brilliant little story. Again, a nice contained story. And this is basically a universe where giant spiders live amongst it, but you don't really know about them. And this is the kind of they've been hunting down this giant spider that killed the main character's family. And it's just superb. I love it. It's creepy as well. I'm hoping to continue on and do some more in this universe. Any of you guys been reading this one?
Phil, have you been reading it?
No, but you spoke about it before, and it's on my radar for the trade paperback when it comes out. Definitely.
Yeah. I've been reading. I just got Cloverfield vibes straight from the off on this. From issue 1 to where we are now, it's just pure Cloverfield vibes. Because I think is it in the first issue you get to see the giant spider, but it's only until the end that you kind of find out. So you're kind of like waiting for like 30 odd pages. And the lettering in it is amazing. It's done by Hassan Otmi El Hayi. I think I've butchered his name there, but he's the one that did Chicken Devil.
Oh yeah, I love Chicken Devil.
That was his first one that he did that kind of everyone like kind of noticed him for, and he's been everywhere since. But it's wicked. This comic, it's great. It would be good as a trade paperback.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a nice, simple, straightforward read. You know what I mean? It's not. I mean, it's the nicest possible way, but it's not a one that you've got to really, really think about. Big spiders eating people hitting them on hammers. Do you know what I mean? It's a nice read, and the artwork's great. So yeah, recommend that one as well. It's a good story. Now a few people in the chat have been recommending this, The Mighty Barbarians, and I clocked that issue 4 was out this week. So I've gone back and read the full series up to issue 4. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really fun story. Again, not overly complicated. Again, it's kind of barbarians and things hitting monsters and stuff. But actually a really cool read. Blaze are doing some amazing work, I think. So again, great series. Any of you guys reading this one?
No, sorry.
No, I wanted to because I think it was in the chat like last week or the week before that someone mentioned this, and I looked into it, and like the polar bear's like a massive part in it.
Yeah,
he's kind of like they're like symbol of hope and stuff.
It's really interesting. So it's basically hey up, we've got the main man. Nice to see you, Fuzzy. Thanks for joining, bud. It's basically the premise is these monsters are attacking all different realities. So Morgan Le Fay kind of assembles a team, and there's some old characters. I don't know if you guys ever read anything of Kull the Barbarian. He's a very old character. So he's one of the main barbarians in it. They've got the guy who can turn into the polar bear, which is superb. It's just a real fun story. So yeah, been thoroughly enjoying it.
Is it related to the Conan universe? Is it?
So Conan's owned still by Marvel, I think. So there was a big reveal in issue 4 about another barbarian, and I 100% expected him to say, "Oh, my name's Conan," but it didn't happen.
Marvel have lost Conan now. They don't
Oh, have they?
Yeah. So
Oh, right.
I don't know if it's went somewhere else or if it's up for auction or whatever. So I would doubt a Blaze will be able to get it though. Be like Dark Horse. Probably.
Well, I think they've got a lot of these characters because I'm sure I can't remember the name of the Amnesia or something. I think he is. A lot of these characters are old comic book characters or old stories. So there's this whole free press thing. I don't know if the characters that they're just getting a hold of, a bit like Alan Moore did with the League of Gentlemen. I don't know if they've tied into that kind of the universe or not. But again, it's a straightforward read. Barbarians hitting things with swords and stuff like that. One turns into a polar bear.
For me, for some reason, that giant polar bear has reminded me of that film. I think it's the Golden Compass. Yes. The Golden
Compass. The Golden Compass.
Where the armored polar bear and stuff like that. Is that related to this any way at all?
I don't think so. Okay. No, I don't think so.
That's the Philip Pullman.
Yes, yeah.
No, great movie, by the way.
Yeah, he's good.
Or the Owl Bear from the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Either of you guys seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Oh, that's wicked. Like, it's just batshit crazy, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. And I got my geek on when you got the cartoon versions of the Dungeons and Dragons characters halfway through as well.
You went to the cinema this week. What did you go and see? You see a really involved film, didn't you, Peter?
I went for some high-level intellectual movie going. I could have chose to see Oppenheimer, and I didn't. I saw Barbie instead. I don't think I'm the target audience somehow.
Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh, mate, I love this. If you watch the Killer Comic Show, right, the first one of this, I was kind of like, this is another cash cow. Like, this is another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles partners with, I don't know, whoever they've partnered with, Batman or Scooby-Doo or whatever. This one for me, I grew up with TMNT and Street Fighter. I'm still playing Street Fighter now. Like, I love it. This for me, you see more of what I wanted to see, more fighting instead of like all the character development. Oh, he hit. Bison's trying to take over. This for me, I really, really enjoyed it. If this was the first issue, I would have been over the moon and I would continue reading. Now I've got this. I'm all in. I loved it.
Bill?
I haven't read it, and to be fair, I mean, I love a good bit of fun. What's the word? Like, you don't have to think about it; you just take it in for what it is. But again, of all the crossovers, there's been too many sometimes. It's hard to keep track of them all.
Fuzzy knows. Fuzzy's a man in the know. This is why I love Fuzzy.
Do you know what? It's all right. It's a fun, easy read. It's not it's not blown us away. It's all right. But I can't take my eyes off his feet. I mean, look at that centre panel. What the holy shit is going on with his feet? I got to the stage where I was counting toes because I was thinking so I don't know if the artwork's doing it for me.
It just looks like Frodo Baggins has went to the gym and learned how to fight. You know what I mean?
And you got hench. I've got a quick little dad joke for you though.
Oh, go on.
And it ties into this well. How does Ryu say hello to Ken? How you, Ken?
That jokes only work when you laugh at your own jokes.
Oh God!
Come on, that was good.
That was a good one.
Wicked.
I like that one. Yeah,
I bet that was better than a joke you heard at the Barbie movie. Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I've got one about that as well. I don't know if I can say
it. Yeah. Fuzzy. The new Street Fighter figures at San Diego Comic-Con all have big oversized feet.
It's because they're so swollen by beating up the car, the abandoned
that's
car.
What it is, big plates of meat. You're right, Phil. I didn't think of that. That's because they've been kicking the living shit out of those Fiestas. Blade. Anybody read this?
Yeah.
No, I switched off after. Does this tie into Blade's daughter?
So I switched off on issue 2 of Blade's daughter because I thought it was an absolute pile of shit. I thought I would give this a chance. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. So the basic premise again, not to put any spoilers out there. Blade's asked by a werewolf to go and help this young lady who's been hunted by these creatures So he goes and rescues her, and then it all kicks off, and then there's a bit of a twist at the end. But there's some good fight scenes in it, and I quite like the dialogue in it. Phil, what did you think?
I thought this is maybe the read of the week for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
It is quite simple for what it is. You know, Blade gets sent in to help this girl, turns out to be a setup, and you find out there's some other kind of force who's summoned these fighters or whatever, and you know they're now going to team up. And I thought it was really good. The twist was really good. I thought we were going to get the standard kind of, you know, Blade saves girl helps Blade kill somebody else.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
but it completely turned itself on its head. And yeah, for an issue 1, I'm looking forward to it. The art was good. It was gory. I mean, I don't like too much gore in my book, as you know, Pete. But I mean, this is just beheading vampires and stuff, so it was okay.
Yeah, it was alright. I mean, Charlie, for me, this was far removed from that. Is it Bloodline or something? I think whatever it was,
it
that
was Bloodline,
the daughter. Yeah,
yeah,
it's worth reading.
But for me, like, I just see Blade as a character that would be so much better in an indie if it was like Dark Horse Comics or AWA, with the likes of John Lee's writing and Alex Cormack doing the art. Like, could you imagine how fantastic that character would be? Because how brutal it would be. We know what Alex Cormack's art's like, and we know like the horror sense and everything John Lee's brings to the table. This, for me, if there was one character from Marvel, it would have to be him, because years and years ago they did a Blade versus Wolverine mashup type of thing that was rubbish. But if that was done again instead of out of Marvel, that could have been such a fantastic comic. I just see Blade as like a badass vampire vigilante that would benefit from not being with Marvel, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree, because the gore in this, as you do see beheadings, you do see blood, but you're right, give it to Alex Cormack for like a different, like an indie publisher. You're going to see a lot more of that, and you're going to have a lot darker story, because again, he's a daywalker, he's a vampire. You need to be a bit darker with this, and you're right. Being at Marvel, there's only so much they can do. Really.
You see, I don't know. I hear what you're both saying, and I was beating that drum last year, saying that pardon me, saying that I'd moved
too much Barbie,
saying that I'd moved away from kind of the Marvel mainstream, but then that recent Punisher title, the do gory, the do you know. So I think to be honest, Marvel will let you loose if you've got the right writer and the right artist behind it. I don't know. It's Fuzzy saying in the chat here, lovely Frank Miller cover to this. Fuzzy, I don't mean to offend, but are you serious? Because I haven't seen this cover, but I've seen some of the Frank Miller covers he's done for specials, and some of them are dreadful. But I ain't seen this one. So is it really good? Is it? I'll check that one out if it is. But some of the ones he's done are not the best. So yeah, recommend picking up Blade. Very, very cool comic. I enjoyed it. Shit the bed. Any of you guys read this Extreme Venomverse?
No, but look at that second panel. Thank fuck I'm not reading this. Like, what is this? A Venom shark?
Basically, Shamu the killer whale's got an attitude. What is this?
So basically what they're doing Extreme Spider-Verse as well. So basically, after the last across the and around the corner of the Spider-Verse, whatever it was, comic book crossover, they've done a Spider-Verse and a Venomverse miniseries, which is each issue's got 2 or 3 stories of Venoms or Spider-Men from the multiverse. This one was a story about Venom infesting and this is the correct name, a land shark who she tickles and plays fetch with. And then there was a story about Eddie Brock, who's a baseball player who it's just awful. I mean, to be fair, that's the 2 stories that I thought were trash. The third story I really quite enjoyed, and it reminded us very much. Everybody see Pacific Rim, the movie Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
Great.
It was basically that, but with Flash Thompson kind of piloting a Venom robot thing, fighting kaiju. So that was quite good. But yeah, no.
See, for me, like you mentioned, Blade and the Punisher being dark characters, Venom's the same. So when you give them this kind of fluffiness, you're not getting the Venom audience for one. They're not interested. I'm not interested in getting this. Like, I'm a big Venom fan. So it's a hard one for Marvel to sell. I think you need to keep Venom dark and not goofy like this.
I switched off from Venom after Donny Cates stopped, and I tried so hard. Like, I like Al Ewing's work and I like Rand V's work, but I just think it was a hard act to follow. like Donny Cates and Motley, Ryan Motley did such a great thing.
I mean, I guess all I would say, Charlie, is I've not read any of that because I've got an O2 reader. I haven't read it yet, but I switched off from Venom a long time ago. I read a few issues of the Dylan recent issues and did nothing for us. But I can't remember the name of the series. But one of the Venom series is following Eddie Brock, and he's kind of just re-emerged as a living symbiote kind of thing. That's actually a really cool story. I'm enjoying that one.
If you can find that out, let me know, because I do like Venom as a character. It's just this so like it just seems a bit dry now.
Moving on. I'm not even going to talk about X-Men Red unless any of you guys have read it, because it was dire, absolutely dire again. And you know, I'm doing it a massive disservice because I just don't get it. So I'm probably going to stop reading it and stop reviewing it, because this one was basically this wife of Apocalypse going to talk to Storm and these other characters who are sat around the table, and it didn't out for us.
Hey, you're going to get an angry text. That's another Al Ewing book.
I know. I'll speak to him at football. I always like a nice chat with him. Scrapper. Now, this was interesting.
It was.
Charlie, what did you think of this? I
thought this was this was the last read of the bunch this week, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It started off as something totally different. And I was kind of like, where the hell are we going with this? We're clearly in a futuristic world, and it's about a dog called Scrapper and his mate Tank, and it was really good. It was something different. I thought it was. I really liked it, and I liked the ending as well, because you kind of find out stuff, and it was. I thought it was great.
You read it, Phil?
No, but it's one that I wanted to read before it came on tonight, but I just didn't have the chance. I didn't see it at the main bunch of comics. I thought it wasn't until after seeing people talk about it on Instagram. There seems to be quite a few people are enjoying it. So,
hi, Efren.
Hey, Efren. Hey, dude.
Efren, I don't know if you guys caught my show last night, but Efren jumped on from San Diego Comic-Con and introduced me to none other than Flash Gordon himself. Literally walked up to Flash Gordon and said hello. Sam J. Jones, isn't he? I can't remember his full name, but and he said hello to her. So I've now technically met Flash Gordon.
It was Chris Claremont last year, wasn't it?
Chris Claremont, yeah, he's done Chris as well. So Scrapper, I got real vibes of it's either Disney or DreamWorks or something. A movie called Bolt. Do you know if you guys have seen that about the dog?
Yeah, the super dog. Where
I got that kind of vibe about it. I loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah, and honestly, spoilers, guys. The scene where his owners, where the bread oven pings, I thought was bloody awful in terms of heartbreaking.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Just cut down kind of thing. So yeah, I thought this was really good. I will be picking up the
artwork
next
was good
issue
as well. The artwork was great.
Yeah,
and I like that kind of like Free Blind Mice type of thing where they're terrorizing.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you think this just came about because of the success of Stray Dogs?
Yes.
You know, sort of thought that done well. This will do well. But remember, Stray Dogs, Pete. The first one was really good. Second one,
I stopped reading. But after Stray Dogs, we seem to have just animal-based books non end.
Did you read Animal Castle?
I read
on my radar though.
See, I really enjoyed that. That was like a kind of like all dogs go to heaven and type of esque, but this is great. The only thing I think we're going to be introduced to this is a kind of lost child that kind of takes on Scrapper as not as a project, but as like a guardian and stuff, because he's already saved the girl. I'm not going to say who that relates to or any part of the story, but there's already like the standard dog saves girl. Dog, do you know what I mean? So I think I think something's going to happen to his friend Tank, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree.
The kind of set things like.
Fuzzy's just saying those Dogs of London as well. Yeah, I think I read an issue of that. Fuzzy, which was what was the one? I remember reading the first series where it was basically just John Wick.
It was John Wick.
Good Boy.
Oh, Good Boy.
It's fantastic.
I think that's on like the third or fourth series now. It seems to just keep going.
It got a load of Kickstarters. It got a load of Kickstarters and it took off.
I've got it. I've got the Kickstarter hardcover. Still not open it yet.
Did you
need
get
No.
like? So I think if you was in America, you could have got a Kickstarter. It was like a premium thing, and you got the briefcase. That
Yeah,
it come with. It come with 3 coins that John Wick gets. You know the coins.
Yeah.
And it came with like the hard copy, and it came with a CGC 9.8 of it as well, which was.
Wow.
But I think you had to back over $350.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I paid for like the hardcover, the cheapest hardcover.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all I wanted.
But on this
I read
scrapper
the
as well,
first series.
with the pigeons, they were kind of like, what did they remind me of? They reminded me of
Mine.
the penguins of Madagascar.
Yeah.
Oh, mine.
Right,
Yeah.
Mine.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Finding Nemo, isn't it? Mine.
Yeah, and
Mine.
Finding Nemo.
Right.
The way he pops up and goes, "Hi, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. yeah. And it was just stuck around in the corner.
So,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Yeah, I recommend reading that one, guys. That's a good book. I enjoyed that one. Moon Knight, City of the Dead. This was an interesting one. I didn't particularly like the artwork in this, but the story was pretty good. It felt very linked. No, did it? It felt linked to the TV series in some ways, in
No,
that
it
you
did.
kind of got some crossover
And
characters.
That's the only reason I continued reading it, because the artwork for me wasn't like, I'm not reading Marvel comics. There's not any many Marvel comics out there to float my boat. I'm kind of like, I'm more into like Boom Studios, IDW, Image, DC and stuff. But this for me, where I kind of read the premise of it and was like, well, the TV series was pretty good. Let me read it. If the artwork would have been better, I'd have been more engaged. But the story does tie into it. So if you have seen anyone in the chat, if you have seen this, like the show, you will enjoy this. But just take the art with a pinch of salt. Would be my opinion.
I mean, I've lost touch with Moon Knight in terms of the comic book series, so I purely read this because it's an issue 1. And will I go back for the second one? Yeah, I think I will. It got us engaged enough to want to read on. Phil, did you read this one?
Moon Knight's one of those characters I've no interest in even looking at. To be honest, I don't know why. It's not as bad. I like the show, to be fair, to an extent, but I don't have that urge to read a Moon Knight book.
This was all right. I don't know if I'd go as far as recommend it if you're not a Moon Knight fan, but if you've got spare 10 minutes or so, it's worth flicking through, I think. Guys, we've got 15 people in the chat, so please do like and subscribe to everybody's channels. And please go and check and follow out the guys over on the Killer Comic Show and the Nerd Herd as well.
Again, I'm not paying you for that, Pete. Okay? But Phil is apparently, so I'm getting the same privileges.
Then we get to this. This is big game. This is the big kind of Mark Miller crossover event, which, if you've not heard, is basically tying in all of the Miller World books. I loved this. I thought this was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. I loved seeing some of the older characters that I recognized. I liked seeing some characters I don't know. So Starlight, the old guy who was kind of talking to the kids, not familiar with his comic.
Kick-Ass.
This was very cool. Yeah, Kick-Ass. Yeah, that was very cool.
Hit Girl. It was all right. This was
very good.
You can, like Mark Miller World. Like, I mean, this was even on League of Comic Geeks. This was even publicized, not even as Image Comics. It was publicized as Miller World.
Yeah.
And I think like the comic book fans that have read comics years and years know that the Miller World has always been going. It's always continued. Now with the TV series like being sanctioned and stuff like that. This is wicked. This was really, really enjoyable. It was big game by name, big game by nature, to be fair.
But the thing is, we've talked about some crossovers and things like that and how it's a bit pushed, but actually this makes good sense.
Yeah.
The fact that if you go all the way back to his previous works, the whole, my brain's gone blank. What's the one with Wesley again? The one where the League of Assassins and everything. What's that series called again?
Oh, well, we look great, by the way.
Not Kick-Ass.
It's not. It's
Oh, no. The one, the movie. The guy was in the Gentle, not a gentleman.
It's the
fucking hell.
Oh, from the chat, let us know.
Help out in the chat. How are you, man?
Colin Firth was in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is the gentleman.
No, man. No,
that's the gangster one.
No, I'm talking about Wesley. The League of Assassins. Wanted. Yeah, sorry. Wanted. So if you go all the way back to Wanted, they do the plant the seeds there of the villains having won and made everybody forget about the superheroes and stuff. So this all works perfectly well. That all of the different properties can field into this. Now, one thing that did kind of jump to me though was we've just, I think, endured his latest series, which was the
Mhm.
all of the superheroes kind of being created and all the rest of it. What's that series called again? My brain's gone blank.
Ambassadors.
The Ambassadors. Yeah,
Ambassador,
I'm now thinking, because of what happens in this issue, that entire series was basically setting up some nice cannon fodder. Because we need some big deaths in this series. We need the bad guys to be ruthless and murdering people. So all of the characters that were set up in the Ambassadors, I think, are going to get wiped out pretty quickly by
I
these
think so.
characters.
See, I read this having never read Nemesis, having not read Ambassadors. I barely can remember Kick-Ass. So I kind of went into this with no real background. The reason why I'm picking this up in hard copy is because I collect everything in Magic Order, and I think they're going to involve somewhere down the line in this series. But it definitely has that big feel of a crossover. You know, that if this is going to be TV shows, all our shows, this is the movie. This is the Avengers Infinity War thing, you know. And I think it has that big feel about it. And even though I don't know the characters, I still found it really good, really interesting, and the artwork was really good too. Kick-Ass is a strange character, you know, applying to be part of the Ambassadors essentially. And I'm not a real superhero. I work part-time, but like wherever he works, he basically to become an ambassador.
But again, in terms of the character, that makes perfect sense now that he's in this universe. Do you know what I mean? GP saying he's not read much of Miller World, so he's given it a miss. GP, I don't know that you need to know the in-depth knowledge. I think this set it up pretty well and explained.
I wouldn't say you need to. I wouldn't say you need to.
Yeah, I think it is worth. I think Connie's right mind. I think the ambition of it is massive because he is going to pull in Magic Order and all the different titles. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Worth a read. Worth a read. Last one, guys. Void Rivals #2. I gushed about issue #1 a couple of weeks back. I thought issue 1 was superb. I loved the artwork. I loved the premise of it. We got the good kind of twist halfway through, which everybody knows now was the Transformers Jetfire. And then issue 2 came out, and it was all right, but it didn't blow us away. No. Either of you guys read it?
Yeah, I did. I think with the surprise, I think we mentioned, and I think us guys mentioned as well, was that the need for Jetfire weren't needed.
Yeah,
it was kind of like, we're going to drop it in. We know we got these coming. We're going to drop it in, and it was kind of like, oh yes, oh my god, there's a Transformer in Void Rivals, blah blah blah. We find out that they're the same people and stuff, the same like Mind Stone or whatever, and it was really good. Like big hype about it, Robert Kirkman, etc. etc. For issue 2, I was kind of like, I kept flicking through the pages, seeing how many pages I had left, because I was just like, it just dragged on a bit for me. I kind of didn't. I expected more from it. I think where #1 was so powerful, and you thought, yeah, this is going to be new, this new universe and stuff. This for me was all right.
Yeah, I'm the same, Charlie. How about you, Phil?
Yes and no. Like I did enjoy it, but it served its purpose in terms of like, we don't know the Angorians or the Sartonians, so it's like we know that they don't really like each other, obviously. But with the two, and I forget their names, like the main characters who are working together to build this ship, I quite like what they had going on, you know, the kind of back and forth. Clearly, the guy who's the Agorians, like, has like a fucker kind of attitude. You know, he's just like a bit more laid back, a bit more realistic. Where she's like programmed to believe a certain thing, to act a certain way, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's quite contrasting. This big guy at the end, like who is this? Like, we don't care. Like, give it like this big reveal, like it's something we're meant to know, but like.
So this is a very, very deep cut Transformers reference.
Oh,
so this is a race of bounty hunters that feature minorly in some of the Transformers lore, but it has no impact at all if you don't really read. So I recognized this, but I didn't know much about it, so Googled it afterwards. I think it was meant, because it's the back page splash kind of thing, it was meant to be your wow moment. I can't imagine there'd be many people who thought, ooh.
I think it just served its purpose. Like, Robert, if you remember, like Invincible was quite slow to start, really.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is it's just plodding along, give us the characters, give us a bit of background, and then it'll hit us with something big. I'm sure. Probably take the first full volume, 5 or 6 issues, really. But I quite like the back and forth between the two characters. I liked it.
I
It's
do
really
like. I
lovely.
like the panels of the Agorians and the Zetonians, like where they
Yeah.
split some of the
Yeah.
panels, and you kind of see what they're doing and what they're doing and stuff like that. But it just, I think I've got to agree with you. I think I was expecting something to be like, boom, here we go, because that panel at the back, it was like, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, guys, I will be reading on because I've got a lot of faith in Kirkman. I think he does fantastic work. I think you're absolutely right, Phil. Kirkman's books are a long read, kind of to get the narrative and the enjoyment out of. I think for me, I just felt a little bit flat. Not a bad book, you know. It was good reading the backstory of the two races and things. It just didn't have that wow factor that I think I got from the first issue for some reason.
That's what I was going to say. Is it though, because like you mentioned, because of the hype of the first book? You know,
Well, I
does it
don't know.
slow down with the Transformers stuff as well?
I mean, I enjoyed the Transformers stuff, but as was said when we did the review of it, I think you could have taken that Transformers reveal out, and I still enjoyed the back and forth of the characters and the enemy minefield to it and all that kind of stuff. So it's a one I'll continue to read, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, guys, that's all of our books this week. Have I missed any that you want to talk about? Any that we've not talked about?
Have we done any Night Terrors this week?
Yeah.
Shut up, Charlie. Shut up.
Wow.
Yeah, I hope. Oh dear God, I hope there's not more Night Terrors for next. Well, there will be. Won't there? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Just want to please encourage you to go and check out the Killer Comic Show and the Nerd Herd. Always got fantastic content, so always worth checking out those channels. Tomorrow night, I've got Let's Talk Toys, where we're going to be doing a San Diego Comic Con special because there's been an absolute obscene amount of action figures come out from that. What I'm going to do is probably minimize the 1/6 scale talk, and we're going to focus more on the smaller scale figures because it's just superb. I'm hovering over the cat's lair that Super 7 have done. It's a lot of money. But yeah, it's worth checking out some of those San Diego.
Can't you fit in another live show? I mean, there's only 7 days in a week, Pete. I mean,
I could try and put me 6.
Sometimes he's done 2 lives in the same night before, like one after the other.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, my wife said to us, "Have you got a live show on Friday?" I said, "Yes, I have." She goes, "You know, it's our anniversary." I was like, "For fuck's sake!" You know what I mean? Once a year. I don't ask much. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I'll not be doing a show this Friday, I don't think, or else I'll be.
Unfortunately, Peter won't be able to attend this week because he's dead.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow night's show. That's your act, ladies and gents. Thank you very much for watching. As ever, massive thank you to Charlie and Phil. Always a pleasure spending time with you, gents. Please do go check out their channels, and we'll call it a night, and we'll catch you next time. So thanks very much, everybody. Bye.